just gives you right out this weekend.
I'm not going to argue.
He's got some signers.
When you asked me for the liquor report.
No, we asked me for the liquor report.
Liquor report. It's over there. I don't need it. But you're going to ask me for it. I'm going to say I don't need it.
Getting his leases.
That's fine.
Tip application.
11.
He still hasn't forgotten the sign language.
Roll call.
Are you going to count?
Pauls.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Gurnett.
Here.
Gray. Jerem.
Yes.
Milton.
Yes.
Mr. President.
Here. Please stand for the pledge of invocation by Councilmember Rich Pauls.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A couple of days ago, I was reading something in a book, and it reminded me of my mother. And this is what it said. Not to believe everything you think. I'm ready to go.
City Clerk certified publication of the Daily Record on March 6th. Notice for a pre-council and regular city council meeting on March 10th, 2015. Current copy of Meetings Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Omaha City Council. This meeting is conducted in public, and by law, may only address the topics listed on the published agenda. The council will hear testimony but will not engage in debate of issues with the public at this meeting. During testimony, it's not appropriate to applaud or convey disapproval. These actions only detract from the formal decorum of the meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute any electronic devices. And we do have a few things to take care of this morning before we start our formal meeting. The first one is a somber item. We want to recognize a longtime City County Building Commission employee, Sam Hoskins, who passed away unexpectedly this week. A great guy, a fixture here at City Hall, always a smile on his face, always serving the public well. We appreciate him and his service, and are thinking about him and his family as they prepare for the services this weekend. I might request just a short moment of silence in honor of him. Thank you. Next item, I do want to recognize a number of folks we have here with us today. The UNO journalism class undergrads here visiting the City Council. We appreciate your interest in local city government. And if you wave, you'll probably get on the camera for the TV show tonight. All right, there you go. You're providing the World Herald some good competition today, huh?
You even moved them out of their seats. That's the first accomplishment.
Well, welcome. We appreciate having you here. And then lastly, before we start, I want to welcome Dana Markle to the podium, please, so we can sufficiently embarrass her, too. As you all know, Dana Markle is leaving the city of Omaha to take a great opportunity with Overland Park Convention and Visitors Bureau. So we wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate her from the City Council. I read this proclamation for her and then have any comments council members may have or that Dana may have to share with us too. And I think I get this honor because I was part of the group of folks who first hired you about 11 years ago. So I appreciate all you've done for the city too personally. So the proclamation reads from the City Council as such. Whereas Dana Markle has been the Executive Director of the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau for more than 11 years, and whereas Dana's service with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, she served under 3 mayors and 3 city councils, and whereas Dana was integral in the development of the CenturyLink Center, and whereas through Dana's vision and passion for tourism, the CVB successfully markets the city of Omaha as a vacation destination, drawing millions of visitors annually, and whereas under Dana's leadership, the Bureau has been reorganized and restructured into a revenue-generating sales and marketing division for the city of Omaha, and whereas Dana served on the exec committee of the Omaha Sports Commission, she was a board member of the Omaha Metropolitan Hospitality Association, and she sat on the Nebraska State Tourism Advisory Board. And whereas Dana has accepted the position of president of the Overland Park Convention and Visitors Bureau, where she's from, and whereas the Omaha City Council recognizes Dana for her dedication and service to the community, now therefore we, the City Council of the City of Omaha, wish to offer our sincere thanks to Dana Markle for her 11 years of outstanding service, and do hereby declare the 10th day of March 2015 as Dana Markle Day in the City of Omaha. Thanks so much.
May I?
You may, but I think Councilman Gray beat you to the punch.
First of all, congratulations, Dana. But secondly, and just as important, all of the accomplishments that you have made have been really wonderful. But what I like the most about you is the open door policy and willing to think outside the box. I hope that we get somebody that is somewhere even close to where you are. But I thank you for the open door policy. I thank you for thinking outside the box, and I thank you for being supportive of this great city and helping this city move forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm thinking back about 11 years when there are two people who are new at their position were riding a bus on the way to the Cornhusker. That's when you were new at this job, and I was new at being a state senator. And we sort of looked at each other, and we smiled, and I think we sort of liked each other, because I don't know if it was because it was a nervous energy or what. But I had to smile. It goes to show you how life goes around, and how you better be nice to everybody, because they can come back to get you. And I think you're going to enjoy yourself, because Overland Park is a great place. I'm originally from the Kansas area, so I think you got a good life ahead of you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gurnett.
I'd like to add my congratulations to our loss, their gain. Remember when we were having a discussion about maps?
Yeah.
And came up with an idea of something that folks in the local hotel, motel, and had something that they could look at, and instead of trying to call people and those without concierge to get them to different things. And one of the things, and I have to agree with Councilmember Gray, thinking outside the box, and came up with this idea of pins. You know, we were I mentioned something like a pin map or something like that. And if you drive the city and at various attractions, you'll see these huge pins with the blue ball on the top and the silver stem sticking out, identifying it as an attraction here in the city. And they're still up today. Don't you dare take those. Good luck.
They were Omahas.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Yes, Dana, you and I go way back, and I want to thank you for putting Omaha on the map. You did a great job. In fact, you did a magician's job, a Houdini job, of taking a little bit of resources, stretching it, and putting Omaha on the map. And thank you for always being there and the work that you did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jerem.
I've had the pleasure of being on the city's Parks Committee, which also has the Convention and Visitors Bureau on it, for the entire time that I've been on the council. And other than you taking Dean Miller from our staff and hiring him away, I loved everything that you did. No, just kidding. Obviously, you knew how to recognize talent in Dean, your able-bodied deputy. We're happy for him and glad that he's there as an interim basis, because he knows so much about the operation. I'd also like to say that you weren't hesitant either to embrace new ideas that could foster the economic engine that tourism can be to a city. And when the idea of developing a youth soccer center for tourism was proposed and was originally met with reluctance by some, we're able to gather the data from, among other places, Overland Park, to show what, in fact, that kind of facility can generate and what a city could do with some bond dollars invested for that purpose. And so we didn't get to finish that dream. That doesn't mean Councilmember Melton and I won't pick it up at some point and run with it into the future, notwithstanding some setbacks. But I want to thank you for your openness to consider other ideas, and you're not take no for an answer, but just as a way to repackage or perhaps get more support for what it is the idea that you were advancing was. And so when you wanted to expand your marketing budget and you knew that if we invested more money to promote Omaha, we would get more heads on beds, we would promote and receive more tax revenue on all those things, the stuff that nobody ever hears about, and an agenda item that sails through on consent agenda that no one even talks about, what it's done in the last year alone in terms of the dramatic increase in those areas. So the stuff, the unsung heroes sort of things you did behind the scenes that the committee would hear about on a monthly basis, you have my immense gratitude for that too. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Melton.
I won't make you stand up here for much longer, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for what you've done for Omaha. It's been amazing. Thank you. You've helped me. You've taught me a lot of things, and I appreciate the knowledge that you have shared. And hopefully I can take that forward, and you can take that knowledge to Overland Park, which actually is where my parents are from, the Kansas City area, and I go back to Overland Park frequently to visit family, so I look forward to coming and visiting you. But thank you for what you've done. And you always had an open door. I could call you, you're willing to meet with me, discuss anything. So thank you so much, and thank you on behalf of everybody in Omaha who may or may not know all the things that you have done, and they've been great. So thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Festerson, you told me all I had to do was stand up here, and I wasn't prepared for this, and thank you very much. I think, as you all know, it's rare to have a CVB as part of city government, and you talk about the out-of-the-box ideas. Those would be dead in the water if I didn't have visionaries to discuss and plan those with, so thank you very much. When I talk to my colleagues around the country who are running CVBs, they'll ask, so you're a city government CVB? And I go, yeah, and they go, ooh, that's got to be tough. But when I share with them that I have a direct line to the mayor's office and the city council in frequent communication, they're in awe. They go, that is fantastic. So I think the governance, the system that we have set in place is really one of the future. And you've allowed us to thrive. I mean, thank you so much for your support. And I will be a visitor in Omaha. This is going to be my escape. And I hope to see all of you in Overland Park. Thank you so much.
Sure. Mr. Clerk.
Zoning ordinance on final reading, planning board attachments, item 5 through 7 are one case. 5 is ordinance to rezone property located southeast of I-680 and Irvington Road from Development Reserve District to General Industrial District. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval. 6 is resolution that plat entitled Seaton Industrial Park, Lot 2 is hereby approved. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval. And 7 is the subdivision agreement is hereby approved. And we have a request to lay this over 2 weeks to March 24th, 2015, and continue public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President.
Yes.
Laid over 2 weeks. We'll take items 8 through 11. It's one case. 8 is ordinance to rezone property located northeast of I-680 and Ida Street from Agricultural District to Development Reserve District. 9 is to rezone to R4 single-family residential district, high density. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval. 10 is resolution 3, the plat entitled Highland Hills, formerly known as Highland Ridge, lots 1 through 190 and outlots A through C are hereby approved. A, planning board and planning department recommend approval. And 11 is subdivision agreement is hereby approved.
Public hearings on agenda items number 8, 9, 10, and 11 are today. Proponents, Mr. Doyle.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Brian Doyle, 11440 West Center Road, here on behalf of the applicant. I also have the project engineer from Lamper Nearson here with me today to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearings closed. Roll call.
Pauls? Yes. Thompson? Yes. Gurnett? Yes. Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
8 through 11 are passed 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7E, agenda item number 12 through 15 should be laid over 2 weeks for publication and public hearing. Special use permit, religious assembly, item number 16, resolution of special use permit, application submitted by St. John's Lutheran Church for a major amendment to a special use permit to a religious assembly in a Development Reserve District Environmental Overlay District located at 4519 Kelby Road is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 16 is today. Proponents, please.
I'm Glenn Volchek, 13401 Shangaska Road. I'm a board of members of the elders of the St. John's Lutheran Church. And we would like to have the permit, waiver of the permit to put the property monument sign close to the property line for visibility coming both from north and south, visibility on this lot. If we set it back further the back, the lower the end terrain goes. So we'd like to set it as close as we can to the head spot. Thank you.
We're asking for a 0-foot setback from the 12-foot setback required.
Your name, sir?
Oh, Pedro Vargas, Omaha Neon Sign Company.
Okay. Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearings closed. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. You wanted a 0 setback, and I guess I'm wondering from planning, you know, where are we? I know we don't usually do this, so I'm asking for a little bit of guidance here in terms of because I'm a little concerned that once we open that barn door, it'd be hard to get that door closed again.
Thank you. James Thiel, City Planning Director. The recommendation is approval. However, it's subject to work with the Planning Department on the site design in order to get the monument sign in the proper location, among other things. That recommendation would be a 12-foot from the property lines and a monument sign versus a pole sign. That would keep it consistent with the zoning.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Now, if let me ask a question though, of maybe legal. We approving this contingent upon those arrangements? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And we do have to go to the ZBA in 2 days from now, after we do get your approval, to still get their approval to get it permitted.
Okay.
We're just here for the pre-approval from the council.
Okay. Dave? Just your thoughts. And we talked about it this morning at the planning committee meeting, and there's some concern about a 0 setback, and I'm concerned about opening a door that we've not previously opened. And
Sure.
So, your thoughts?
Dave Fanslaw, City Planning. Staff, when the use permit came in, the application came in, we took a look at it, and it's our opinion and our recommendation report to the Planning Board recommended that the sign should meet the site development regulations for the DR district, which is a 12-foot setback, maximum height of a 6-foot high monument sign. We think there are ways that can happen. We recommended to the Planning Board that, in fact, the sign does meet the setback, and there's a few other conditions on the recommendation report. There's some older signs on site that are in the right-of-way, so there's 3 or 4 conditions on our recommendation report. So we're holding to that. If the Planning Board would have allowed for the sign to be located at 0 feet or right on the property line or anywhere within that 12 feet, the applicant would have had to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. So, and that holds true still today. If the council decides that the sign should be within that setback, they would have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for that waiver.
Okay, so if we approve this today, this is being approved contingent upon the Zoning Board of Appeals decision?
No,
or
no.
Is it?
If the council passes as staff recommended to the planning board,
Right
and as
here.
planning board yes. If you approve what is before you per the staff recommendation, they don't need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay.
They don't need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals if that sign encroaches into the setback.
Okay. Thank you. That answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jerem.
I'm putting on my old hat twice today, Dave Fanslaw, my former days as a Zoning Board of Appeals member. And I can't remember in the 7 years that I was on the ZBA ever having a sign setback waiver associated request approved without, in accordance with a detailed plan submitted. And so my reluctance here today is, given a proposal that hasn't shown us a plan, having the planning director say, well, to be worked out later, and now we're being asked to take a leap of faith that somehow by Thursday that another board that's not elected but appointed will make those decisions for us. And so, you know, no offense to the sign company gentlemen here, but we've had some experience with signs recently, and albeit more high-profile traffic corridors, where these sorts of things haven't been scrutinized to the level of precision and detail, and now we have ACI issues in other places. So before we go into this kind of overlay district and improve something here, would you please address my hesitance, Dave?
I will try. As part of the special use permit plan, or application, they did submit a plan. And I guess I would back what you're saying. Yeah, we don't typically, everything's site specific. We typically don't support waivers of signs. And when we do, in certain cases when we do, yeah, we try to lock them down as tight as we can. I think that's what you're asking me.
Mm-hmm. And I don't hear what been the recommendation that really, quote, locks it down.
Our recommendation?
Of what I just heard the planning director say. I was making a motion to approve subject to them getting as a waiver of the setback and then settling in on a plan design and citing later.
The recommendation is to not grant our opinion was not to grant the waiver, but work with staff on citing the sign code in a code compliant way on the site and not getting the Zoning Board of Appeals waiver.
But not limiting it to this applicant only in accordance with the plan approved?
Yeah.
Just kind of hearkening back.
Well, number 4 in the recommendation report is compliance with the site plan and operating statement. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say anything about this applicant, so. Use permits typically run with the land and not the applicant unless it's specifically written in our recommendation report.
Did anyone make a motion? Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could talk to the applicant. When I think of this area of town, and I don't see a whole lot of, I don't remember a whole lot of blockage, and the 12 feet that the planning department wants you to do is about from where you are to about the front of this diocese.
Right. The grade elevation from the property line to the, basically right at the property line, the grade starts to go downhill towards the lot of the church. So as we go down.
Show me on the picture what you're trying to do.
Sir, would you identify yourself again, just your name?
What's that? Pedro Vargas.
Thank you. So we're recording this, so when they have.
Okay, got it.
That's my fault. I should have had you do that.
Yeah, right at the back side of the hedges is the property.
Point to it.
Oh, sorry. This is the property line right here at the back side of the hedges. So as you move from here back 12 feet, you move down this grade. So if we put the leading edge at 12 foot, it would be here, and they would have to bring in a subcontractor to landscape underneath the sign, or we would have to ask for a variance for the height to get it up so you can be seen off the road. So if the lot didn't have a downgrade and it was just all flat, then we would definitely put it back 12 feet and not need a setback waiver.
Mr. Fanslaw?
I'd like to make one comment. There is a wooded area on the south side of this lot that the trees in the summertime will block all the signs. The further back it is, the less visibility it has.
Dave?
Yes.
They would like, if they go back 12 feet, they would like some height added. Is that one of the things that you would work with them on?
Well, possibly.
Okay.
There could be some, if the grade's brought up and the sign's at that grade, there wouldn't be a need for that height waiver. If they kept the natural grade and needed to go higher, yeah, then there would be a height waiver. But we think there are ways that they can move some dirt, regrade maybe, to get the sign at the 12 feet where it's still visible from the street.
Because I hear him saying that they would go back 12 feet, but they don't want it hidden behind the hedges.
Sure.
We would have to-
Specifically coming from the other way, but really going both ways, but definitely coming the other way. And it seems like there could be a win-win here.
Sure, there could be, and we're willing to look at alternatives. We just don't think the 0-foot setback is appropriate.
I don't think the 0 is good too, because then it's like Councilman Gray said, it's opening up Pandora's box. I'd like to move the approval of the Planning Board and Planning Department recommended solution.
Motion a second, Mr. Jerem.
Yeah, at this point, I would vote no on that just because I don't think we have enough information here today that makes me comfortable. I think that if we laid this over, they could come back with a plan and have the benefit of some insights of how they can achieve what they want that would address their concerns and the planning department's concerns that were expressed to the planning board. So I think what we have is, with all due respect, you know, your church is a destination. It's kind of different than a retail place. It's counting on cars to drive by for that sign that brings them in, maybe like a bank or a tailor or some other kind of store. And so I'd hate to set a precedent on this where we have the next one come down the line.
Well, I have cut the hedge down so it is more visible than what it shows on the picture here. I cut it down to 2 feet, so it's got elimination there, but we still have to contend with the trees on the south side blocking the visibility of the sign. More than the cars are parked in the north side of the church, and so what do you call the wall, retaining wall there is right at the property line right now. So that's what we're contending with. We tried to move the sign further south
Right,
of the
and
building.
I don't know that you really understood me or I made myself very clear. It wasn't that I'm opposed to you having a sign. I just think that if you had a sit-down with Mr. Fanslaw and the planning department, they could show you things that people who have come before you have done in terms of maybe berming the dirt or to get your height up, and things that you could do that would make it acceptable and be a win-win. But based upon what we have today, no pun intended on the leap of faith, but there's just not enough for me to be comfortable that you won't, because you're not required, you wouldn't do the things that you could do that would make it a win-win.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, is there a problem with perhaps maybe laying it over a week or two, especially until we get past the Zoning Board of Appeals? Is there a problem with that?
They don't have a, I would say if you don't...
Name.
Dave Fanslaw, City Planning, sorry. They're on the agenda for the Zoning Board of Appeals for Thursday. Department recommending denial of that waiver. I think it's probably premature to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals since we don't know what a plan would be. I'm hearing that maybe some of the council don't want to support the 0-foot setback, and that's what they've asked for at the zoning board. So if it gets laid over here, it's probably better that that is laid over on Thursday as well, and we continue to work if if the council so wants us to work with the applicant on a solution.
So what would be the benefit? I mean, would it be beneficial then to approve it today? Because Councilmember Jerem raised a concern about this, you know, about approving something without knowing all the details in it so far. So I guess would approving it today necessarily hinder one way or another what happens?
Well, if you approve it today, you're approving it so that it should meet the site development regulations and have a 12-foot setback, or not the 1-foot setback as they propose.
Okay.
So
that answers my question.
There would be no reason to go to the ZBA if you approved it today.
Okay.
One question on that too. So what you're saying is procedurally, I think several council members are indicating support for the planning department's position, and procedurally, if this is approved today, that helps your position.
Well, they have an approved special use permit, and they'd have to put the sign at 12 feet, and we would surely work with them on making that, you know, like the grades or bringing it some dirt, bring that up so it can be seen from the street at 12 feet back.
Unless the ZBA approved the zero-foot setback, but
correct, but you'd have to strike that from this recommendation report today so they could go to the ZBA and get that waiver.
Okay.
So I guess it's
You're right. So there's a motion and a second. Any further comments? Put another way, since there's no further lights on, if this wasn't approved today, does that give you more time to figure out more detail and delays the ZBA's potential action, and therefore we could get the detail we're seeking?
Correct, yes.
Okay. I think that'd be my preference. But there's a motion and a second on the table.
I would make a substitute.
Okay, the substitute for 1 week layover and a second. Any further comments?
And continue the vote.
Can you want to continue the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Francois?
Yes, Dave Fanslow, City Planning.
The new thing that's on the table right now, does that complicate things?
No, we were, if the council would pass it as recommended, we would have worked with the applicant to site the sign in the proper location. I'm not sure we're going to get it done in 1 week. So, I mean, but my schedule's already full. So, I mean, there's a chance. I mean, it's gotten pretty close. They can't get to the ZBA if it was set back closer than 12 feet until next month now. So, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll make every effort to meet and to come up with a solution in 1 week, but that's pretty tight. So,
thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Jerem?
Yeah, I know Pedro is very experienced because he was maybe a lot earlier in his career when I was on the zoning board, but he's been having cases before that board since I was there.
Yeah.
And I would think that if there's anyone capable of coming up with a plan after listening to what you said today, he's a very astute listener, in my experience, from the cases that he had when I was there. So I would be optimistic that you probably could do it in a week.
I can get him plans back in a few days that probably meets both the setback and height requirements, somewhere in the middle with incorporating landscape so that everybody can look at some plans there.
There's a motion for a 1 week layover. Continue the public hearing in a second. Roll call.
Pauls? Yes. Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
It's laid over 1 week, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, agenda items number 17 through 18 should be laid over 2 weeks for publication, public hearing. Liquor, item number 19. Stoley's Lounge, 715 North 120th Street. Class C liquor license, no application, no location.
Public hearing on number 19 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, I'm Amanda Ransom. I'm one of the owners of Stoley's. I'm here to answer any questions you may have today.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Roll call.
Pauls? Yes. Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
19 is adopted, 7-0. Item number 20, the Diamond Room, 605 North 13th Street. Class C liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on number 20 is today. Proponents, please. Mr. Kelly.
Mr. President, members of the council, Mike Kelly, 7134 Pacific. Appearing here today on behalf of the applicant, BH Ventures, which is Mr. Bob Beck and his wife who are here. This is, as I indicated at the pre-hearing, called the Diamond Room. It's in the gray building between Mattress Factory and the Blatt, and is going to be an event hall, which we're very excited about. Mostly weddings, but other civic events will also be held there. And with your blessing and the commission's blessing, we'd also like to license it, except for the period during June when we have the World Series. Other than that, we're here for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
Jerem passed second time for potential conflict of interest. Number 20 is adopted, 601 passing. Item number 21, Club Mex Restaurant, 3018-3022 North 93rd Street, Class I liquor license, new application, O location.
Public hearing on number 21 is today. Proponents, please.
Mr. President, members of the council, Mike Kelly again, 7134 Pacific. Appearing here with the applicant, Jose Munoz. This is just a Mexican restaurant. He's been operating on a temporary operating permit, and that is the planned use, a Mexican restaurant. He's here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
Jerem passed second time for a potential conflict of interest. Number 21 is adopted, 601 passing. Item number 22, Joe's Crab Shack, 701 North 102nd Street. Request permission to appoint Chelsea Stride manager.
William Hoyt,
One
General
second,
Manager.
please. I'll announce the item.
Thank you.
Public hearing on number 22 is today. Proponents, please.
William Hoyt, General Manager at Rose Crab Shack, representing Chelsea Stride, manager. Here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Gurnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is Chelsea here?
She's not. She actually had a vacation tickets when she got the notice to be here, so I decided I'd come down.
Okay. Now, I have some concerns regarding the police report.
Okay.
Are you at liberty to respond?
I sure can. Tried my best.
She's had some run-ins with the law since 2007, and I just wanted to remind her that, you know, being a manager of a liquor license, you're going to have to cooperate with law enforcement in the good as well as the bad.
And very true. And
kind of wanted to get that response back.
well, she right now is going to be interim until I get my license put forth. I just taken over about a month ago, and I'm in the process of filling out the application and getting all that taken care of, and it will be switched over to me at a later point, probably within a couple months.
Well, give everybody a chance, at least one chance. I've stuck with that for this long. I'll go with it again. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Second. Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray. Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
22 is approved, 7-0. Item number 23, Fox Sound Coffee, 1919 Papillion Parkway, number 103. Request permission to appoint Carol Inke, manager.
Hi.
Public hearing on number 23 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, I'm Carol Ank. I'm one of the owners/manager of Foxhole Coffee.
Thank you. Any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Second.
Roll call.
Paul.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
23 is adopted, 7-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause an item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed consent agenda should be taken up at City Council meeting following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, as otherwise provided by City Council Rules of Order.
Public hearings on agenda items number 24 through 27 were held on March 3rd.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
24 through 27 are passed, 7-0.
The public hearings on agenda items number 28 through 36 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none, public hearings are closed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Gray.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to talk briefly about item 29. Item 29 is a CSO contract for landscaping. This is a tier 2 company, and I'm going to be supportive of this, but it also points out the need and the necessity for us to at least look at the possibilities that the proposed ordinance by Councilmember Jerem is talking about. We have no one we don't have the capacity to do this work within with some of our tier 1, tier 2 contractors that are here within the city of Omaha. And if we're going to work to build that capacity, we need to start looking at thinking out of the box again, something similar to what the proposed ordinance that we're going to be talking about in a few weeks. This would have been a good opportunity for individuals to be interns or in some other way to be involved in this to learn how to do it. So I'm going to be supportive of this, but again, this is a really good opportunity for a tier 2 contractor within the area, but it also points out the need for capacity building in the city of Omaha. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Milton.
Well, and I'm just curious because I've talked to some other contractors. Has anybody contacted Next Phase Environmental to see if they would be willing to have some interns or anybody work with them while they're on this project? 'Cause I'd be more than willing to call them and see if they would be willing to do something like that without being mandated to by ordinance.
Yeah, we're not talking about mandating any, we're just talking about the opportunity to, for capacity building. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to be mandated to do anything. I did not talk to anyone, but I did go on their website and I did some investigating. They've done several projects in the Omaha area. They've done a couple in Council Bluffs. And this requires a little bit more than just what the landscaping would call for. And so this is one of those kinds of things that this company has built the capacity to do. And
I'm wondering if they would be willing to, if there would be somebody that maybe we could match up. Maybe there's a landscaper out there that doesn't have these particular skills that may want to learn them. I would think instead of just letting this opportunity pass by, that maybe we reach out to Next Phase. I mean, they can't be mandated to do it, but maybe they would be willing to have somebody else work with them, be an intern, kind of learn.
Well, I don't think it hurts at all to call. I don't think it hurts at all to give them a call and see what they would be willing to do.
I think that would be something that we shouldn't pass up and see if they would be, especially if they're doing a number of projects in the Omaha Council Bluffs area. They might want, if we could give them, the name or match them up with somebody that would want to do that. That's what I think we should be doing.
I don't have any problem with that at all, and we can coordinate who makes the call or whatever. I don't mind doing it. You can do it as well. So, I think we can do it. I just don't know how much traction we would get this far into the process, but I think we ought to call and at least make them aware of what our concerns are and if they have some ability to help to do that.
I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Mr. Jerem.
I'm glad that council members continue to engage on this issue. And I look forward to next week, wear your green, by the way, for our Tuesday briefing, for what it is these two proposals that I've put forward actually do. And if you would read the ordinance in advance of the meeting, it might make it more productive, because nowhere in there would it require a mandate for anybody to do anything. It's a voluntary system that flows through allowance or grant dollars that go through the city's nonprofit workforce development office called Heartland Workforce Solutions to do these very things. While primarily it would focus on the worker side of things, there's no reason with your idea that we couldn't expand that to include the contractor mentoring process, whether it be in landscaping or anything else. So that's a great idea. Hadn't thought about it before in terms of expanding the focus. But yeah, we were told that there's a team that's been working with CH2M Hill and HR&R and Public Works, and we've had our meetings. There's a lot to do, and it's amazing what picking up a phone might be able to accomplish. But come ready next week, because that's where hopefully the questions can get asked and the proposals can get vetted, and you can kind of see how this would work. I know I had a meeting preliminary with Paul Kratz, the city attorney, yesterday, and the mayor contacted me today to say, you know, she's ready for her meeting. And so there's a lot of good things going on here, and hopefully this will go somewhere in whatever form we kind of, as a consensus, coalesce around and decide on.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for all these items.
We do.
Do we have a motion? Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
we do. We do have a motion in a second.
Yeah.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
28 through 36 are adopted, 7-0. Ordinance on final reading, item number 37, special ordinance levying special tax for cutting and clearing weeds, grass, and worthless vegetation, group number 2015-01. There's an amendment.
Public hearing was held on March 3rd. There's an amendment.
Move the amendment.
Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
As amended.
Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
37 as amended, passed 7-0. Item 38, special ordinance levying a special tax assessment for cutting and clearing weeds, grass, and worthless vegetation, group number 2015-01. There's an amendment.
Public hearing was held on March 3rd.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
38 is passed as amended, 7-0. 39, special ordinance levying a special tax assessment for litter removal. A is an amendment.
Public hearing was held on March 3rd.
Motion approved to move the amendment.
Second. Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
As amended.
Second. Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
39 is passed as amended, 7-0. Resolution, item number 40, resolution that the contract with F&B Constructors for OPW 52736 being Greater Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau renovation is hereby approved.
Public hearing on number 40 is continued today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson? Gurnett? Gray? Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
40 is adopted, 7-0. Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing on agenda items 41 through 42 shall be held on third reading. Ordinance on second reading, we'll take items 44 and 45 together. 44 is ordinance authorizing the purchase order to DPC Industries for the purchase of sodium hypochlorite to be utilized at the wastewater treatment plant. 45 is ordinance authorizing the issuance of purchase order to Univar USA for the purchase of sodium bisulfate to be utilized at the wastewater treatment plants.
So we can take 44 and 45 now, but I think we'll skip to 43.
Yeah, you're right. 43 should be done too. Okay.
So we'll do 44 and 45 right now. Public hearing on these items are today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearings are closed.
Item 43, ordinance vacating 40th Street from Jones Street North to a previously vacated 40th Street, Emily Street from 40th to 41st Street, and the north-south alley not previously vacated in Block 1 Potter's Addition and Block 1 Van der Crook Terrace, all more specifically described in the attached Exhibit A. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on number 43 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 46, ordinance authorizing an agreement for the sale of city-owned real property to Holy Name Housing Corporation to convey 36 properties for development of affordable single-family homes.
Public hearing on number 46 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 47, ordinance approving agreement sale of city-owned real property to Omaha Economic Development Corporation for property located near 24th and Lake Streets adjacent to the Blue Lion building.
Public hearing on number 47 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 48, ordinance authorizing an agreement for the sale of real-owned property, city-owned real property to the Omaha Economic Development Corporation located near 24th and Burdett Street for the use of the Fair Deal redevelopment project.
Public hearing number 48 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 49, ordinance approving the agreement for the sale of city-owned real property to RH Land Management Company located near 24th and Lake Street adjacent to the Blue Lion Center for the use of the Blue Lion building.
Public hearing is today. Are there any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 50, ordinance approving a redevelopment tax and financing loan agreement with Security National Bank to implement the Security National Bank implement financing redevelopment project plan site located at 3504, 3512 Farm Street, which provides for the demolition of the 1960s vintage building and the new construction of a larger, more operationally efficient building to accommodate the expansion of bank services.
Public hearing on number 50 is today. Proponents, please. Ms. Hadley.
You have to pardon my voice. Bridget Hadley, City Planning, and I can try to answer any questions you may have.
You can try, right? Let's keep your testimony short today. Are there any other proponents today? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 51, ordinance to approve a contract with the Omaha Public Schools for the city to provide through the assignment up to 11 associate school resource officers and marked police cruisers to perform police work within the district.
Public hearing number 51 is today. Are there any proponents? Are there any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Item 52, Douglas County Election Commissioner transmits invoice for the City of Omaha's portion of the cost associated with the November 4th, 2014 general election.
Motion received, refer to the Finance Department.
Second. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson? Yes. Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray? Yes. Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
52 is received and...
Well, we haven't put any of the journalism class to sleep yet. That's good.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 70, the public hearing agenda items number 53 through 59 shall be held on third reading. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7C, the public hearing agenda items 60 through 64 shall be held on the second reading. On the supplement, item number 67, resolution...
65.
Oh, that's right. 65 is Chairman of the Board of Equalization reports plans of approval, reports approval of plans of assessment with adjustments made at the regular meeting held March 3rd.
Second. Roll call.
Paul. Yes. Thompson. Yes. Gurnett. Yes. Gray. Yes. Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
65 is adopted. 7-0. Now, item 67, a resolution that the City Council concurs with the bid award to Charles Verana and Sons Construction Company for OPW 51496 being 90th and Maple Street's intersection improvement project.
Public hearing on number 67 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing is closed. I do have one question for Public Works. Mr. Great, are you able to answer a question on this item? Did we talk about this one?
I certainly try.
I did get a response from Mr. Fitzer. If you'd prefer I just read that, I want to just clarify what this does. Or else, if you want to address it, you can go ahead and do that.
I'd rather defer.
Okay.
It's just not really in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Marty Gray, Public Works.
That's fine. Thank you. So it was a little more clear about what this does from his email to me just before the meeting. At 90th and Maple, what this will do is implement dual left turn lanes on all 4 approaches and also an eastbound right turn lane. And construction would start April 20th and be complete by October. So I just wanted to clarify for that. It is a bit more substantive than we were thinking this morning. And welcome safety enhancements to that busy intersection. True. Thank you. Is there a motion? Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
67 is adopted, 7-0.
Motion adjourned.
Roll call.
Pauls, Thompson, Gurnett, Gray, Jerem, Milton. Mr. President?
Yes.
2:55.
America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.